Hi there, it's Denise Eckert, and I'm always glad to come on here and share different techniques and ideas to help you lower the stress in your life. And today I've got Dr. Amy Albright, and she's CEO and co-founder of Holon and an executive coach. She blends practical science with intuition to guide change. For more than 20 years, she's helped people transform their lives and businesses to grow or reinvent themselves. So welcome, Dr. Amy.
Thank you. It's lovely to meet you, Denise.
Now, what inspired you to do this type of work?
I don't think I had a choice. Basically, I'd been sick my whole life with all kinds of things. Like, kind of every system was wrong with me by the time I was 18 years old. And at about that age, I also was reintroduced to my grandpa, who I had been estranged from because of an estrangement between he and my dad. And he said, I'm going to send you to acupuncture. I didn't know you've been so sick. And then you've got to come around because I have things to tell you. And so it turns out he was a consciousness teacher informally. His main profession was elsewhere, but he had been a student for many decades at that point and a consistent meditator. And when I went to acupuncture, I call it my Big Bang moment. It was an awakening moment to that there was something larger. I didn't believe in God or a higher power at that point. I had been studying neurosciences and really was quite reductionistic in my view of what life was. And yeah, and I knew in a moment after the guy left the room, he put the needles in, he left the room, and I could trace the meridians and I could feel myself floating and I feel myself sinking and I could hear the voices of my guidance talking to me. And I knew there was a God. So basically, the combination of that moment, which cracked me open as that, some like largely traumatized and somewhat cynical person and very sick person at that point. And my grandpa was teaching me things like you're creating your own reality. And this is 32 years ago. So there weren't a whole bunch of people on this back then, per se. So he was teaching me that. And I was really learning to take accountability for how my life was going in such a deep way. And then because of that Big Bang moment, perhaps, or because I was designed to get this in this lifetime and also to teach it, it's like I became fully aware that we are living inside of one construct of reality and that there's always another construct of reality. There's always more joy, there's always more peace, there's always more wisdom. And not that we're moving from a place of lack and scarcity, but that it's an incredible adventure to live out into. And it's also the place where the solutions are found. I don't like how the relationship with my so and so is going, or I'm feeling stressed, or whatever it is. There's always the answers there inside of that bigger frame. So it really helped me tremendously. And I feel very, very blessed. I'm now 50 that I started this journey at 18. And I can't say that I've mastered it. I don't know anybody that has, but it sure is a gift and a blessing to realize and recognize like it's my only lens to see life through, right? This one that is so much bigger than the little self, and that we always have room for another answer or another great adventure to allow another great adventure into our lives or another passion or another possibility. I love being on the trail of miracles. It's so much better than the trail of suffering or thinking that we're alone inside of things.
I love that. And yeah, so now for someone that's listening that's not embarked on this journey, because I know I have as well, what would be some of the steps that they could take to start listening to their intuition or getting the answers from the bigger frame? I like that.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question. And in my experience in teaching intuition, I would say that most people doubt that they belong to this, like as if it's the in club at high school. Oh, I'm not one of those intuitive folks, or, oh, but I have all of these, I call them 3D responsibilities, like raising kids or going to school or whatever it is that they're doing. They've got a job. And I get all of that. But ultimately, this intuitive piece is our birthright. And so I'd say the first thing is to recognize that it's perhaps an atrophied organ, so to speak, or an atrophied capacity for some of us, but that we're really designed for it. We're hardwired for it. So the first step is just to acknowledge that. And then I think the second step, which is sort of a realization that comes after the first step, is wow, we have been taught that it is wrong, woo, counterproductive, only for crazy people, only for witches, or I don't know, something like that. Like it's a very outcast point of view or endeavor. But really, when we look at the most brilliant minds, and I can say, as being an executive coach and strategic advisor For instance, investors that are working with high levels of capital, they're all using their intuition. They're also using a spreadsheet, right? It's like there's an element of knowing how to walk between those two things. We don't ever lose track of what the consensus reality is or what good reason is, but sometimes we make a choice against what looks like good reason because we're following our gut. But we're not doing it as like the hapless, hopeless victim of our intuitive path because we don't, I call that like the bliss bunny dumb. We don't want to just let go and suddenly become so metaphysical or so spiritual that we basically blow off life. We blow off cause and effect. We blow off how things go for people. But at the same time, we can no longer, I'll say, stay inside of the gaslighting that is there inside of our modern society that says it doesn't matter unless science can prove it. It's not real unless you can touch it or put data behind it, is incorrect. It has to be incorrect. And so that's the point number two. Is number one is notice that it's our birthright. And number two would be just noticing that we have to believe something bigger than what we have been, I'll say, force fed and indoctrinated into. Like we've been marinating in an environment that says that we're not good at this or we shouldn't be, or that it's dangerous. And then I would say after you get those foundational pieces in place, it's a lot about pay attention. Pay attention to how you're feeling. Pay attention to when somebody says something. Do you get excited in a grounded sort of a way, or do you get a pit in your stomach? Does the hair stand up on the back of your neck when you're near somebody, or do you feel relaxed, right? Because our body is this massive intuitive sense organ and it knows how to guide us, but we have to listen. So I think that as people, as humans, then also additionally, I know that this audience that we are both, and that this audience is a lot of women, that we've been taught to ignore our bodies. We've been taught to, if you're having a menstrual cramp, take a pill for that, or you've got a headache or whatever, push through, take care of everybody, pay attention, scan your environment for constant safety and threat detection. Who's not being taken care of? Is everything being handled? And so that's a very difficult environment in which to then develop your intuition because you're not in touch with your body. And
And exhausted.
and exhausted. Yeah. And then I'll bring in my neurosciences component. I've had a colleague of mine, we've been working together for most of the last 14 years, and I have a strong background in neurosciences. And I would say that if we were to talk about it in brain language, if you have your limbic system, if you have that reptilian or like the old mammal brain really, really firing, and a lot of us do constantly, we're kind of scanning, what did she think of me? Did I do the right thing with that? I should be a better friend, blah, blah, blah. Like it's just a constant narration for so many folks. And when we're in that, we don't have enough bandwidth or horsepower. All of those facilities are being either shunted toward the primitive brain or the overthinking. There's this thing called cingulates, like these areas of our brain that are like the size of a quarter, but they can be a power hog for up to 30% of our capacity. So if we think about not just relaxing, but it's almost like imagine somebody taking 30% of your capacity and pouring that back over you, pouring that back from like over your head, like down, trickling down through your brain and all through your body and being and all through your experience of reality. If you had 30 more percent capacity to perceive, to
Hot.
connect, right? To be in touch, to be present with oneself, to be present with whomever or whatever is at hand, and to get out of that. It's just an absolute insanity the way that we have been taught to be good.
Yeah.
And it's not biologically or neurologically supportive. We can look inside of brains of people who are like, I'm fine. And you're like, you're not fine. This is called this is called anxiety. This is called burnout. And they're like, well, yeah, you're right. I only sleep 5.5 hours a day. And how does your body feel? Oh, I have no idea. So that's not fine. That's not okay.
Now, do you have any practices or techniques where you can get more in touch with your body to find out, okay, yeah, you're fine, but are you really fine? Is there a way to communicate with your inner intuition, I guess?
Yeah, I love that because fine is actually a path. It's a problem state as far as I'm concerned. We should be awesome. We should be aiming for awesome and awesome at all times. So how do we get there? Because we don't want to then take this and beat ourselves up and berate ourselves for not being there, right? So I would say that a really easy tool, and I can provide a link, it's available for free. And that's I just named it the Whole on Breath Practice. One is the name of our organization. And it basically, you can shift your state of being almost instantaneously, and you can do it with eyes open or eyes closed. So this isn't a hard, heavy breathe till you faint. This is the kind of thing you can do in the boardroom, you can do in the bathroom when you're on a break, you can do it in the middle of a conversation, you can do it with your eyes closed and drop into really deep places. I've had a lot of people who have been meditating for decades suddenly drop in after just watching their monkey mind for a long time. They're like, whoa, my monkey mind actually was quiet. And I felt more, I lost track of where my body began and ended. Like I couldn't perceive myself quite as rigidly, and I became extremely relaxed. So I highly recommend that for people to check it out and to impart it into their lives. That tool alone changes people's lives. That tool alone brings somebody into safety, and it also brings them into a feeling of connection with themselves and the world around them. And it helps you to see through the illusion. So it's very foundational and super helpful.
Can you share it with us here today?
Yeah, sure. I can do a shorter version of it
Yeah,
if
that'd be
that feels
great.
good. All right, so we'll close our eyes. For those that are listening while they're driving, just leave your eyes open and do a much lighter version of this, almost like you're just experiencing us experience it, or else maybe it's probably safer to do it later. But for those that are able to right now, let's close our eyes. And I'd like for you to just feel your body, not change it. Notice your breath. Don't change it. Just notice. It's important to take a baseline of where we are. Good. And then this is going to feel very imaginative. It's going to feel very, perhaps even silly, or what are we talking about? Just go with it. It's not going to hurt anything. We're going to play. We're going to see what happens as you're sitting in your safe environment. So I will have you just feel the edges of your physical body. And for those that believe in energy or a higher power, we know that perhaps we know that we're infinite. We know that we extend beyond that, but we have a physical skin layer that's holding us all together on that level of reality. And I'd like for you to feel and imagine, just pretend that you can actually trace and know or see or feel where all of those pores of your skin are. There's trillions of them. So just pretend that you can know where those all are. And then again, we're just going to play and be very lighthearted about it. We're going to see, feel, or imagine that we can breathe in through all of the pores of the skin simultaneously, very gently. Good. And the exhale doesn't go through the skin, it either goes through the nose or we don't track it at all. And we just take in these very gentle, sweet sips. We pretend that we feel, we see, we imagine that we can track them coming through all of those pores of skin simultaneously. Good. And we either exhale through the nose or we don't track it at all. So we're just going to be with this breath through the skin. We're going to allow it to be gentle. It's a state of non-efforting. We're pretending that we can feel the air as if it's tiny little nostrils moving through the skin. Good. And bringing this breath to all the areas of the body, the scalp, the hands, the feet. Good. And then I'll have you bring your awareness. I'm going to leave this breath on autopilot while we focus on something else for a moment. So bring our awareness fully to our spine, the whole length of our spine. Good. And then at the bottom of the spine, there's a flat triangle-shaped bone called the sacrum, the very low back. Yeah. And then we have below that the tailbone, which is about a 1-inch segment. Maybe we have a favorite pet. We can always tell how animals with tails are feeling based on how their tail is expressing. If it's tucked between their legs, they're probably in a state of trauma or fear or have had a lot of trauma that they haven't recovered from, like the dog cowering in the corner with the tail between their legs. So, a lot of the times we run through life, run being the literal word, with that tail between our legs. So, right now, we'll just allow in our imagination, potentially slightly on a physical level, that we have a sense of warmth, a sense of muscular relaxation in that area, and perhaps we can see, feel, or imagine the tailbone dropping back just a little bit, back and up. So I don't think that we're designed for wags, although some people play with wags, but we can definitely allow for our nervous system to change by changing how our tailbone, how we're relating to that tailbone. Good. The tailbone is helping us to signal that we are safe. It's working on that biological and primitive level. It's doing things that we can't fully understand with the mind, but we allow for it to drop back. We allow for comfort and safety and relaxation to move through our entire body and being. Good. And then we bring our awareness simultaneously. We allow for the tailbone to be just as it is, nice and soft and relaxed. And we allow for our awareness to also be with that gentle, sweet inhalation through all of the pores of the skin simultaneously. Good. And for the interest of time, we'll draw this to a close, but we do so gently in navigating the eyes open and eyes closed world. Very different neurological states. So we can allow for ourselves to continue with that tailbone and that soft, open, and probably slightly drop back position. And the breath is still through the skin. The eyes are closed for this moment. And then in the next moment, we gently open our eyes just to flutter, take in a little light, and then close them back. And then we allow for ourselves to be sure to touch back in with that breath and the tailbone. Make sure everything is still as it wants to be. Breath flowing smoothly and cleanly through those pores on the inhales. And then this time we open our eyes and stay with eyes open. Just holding a soft focus, allowing for peripheral awareness. And then as you're ready, you can allow for your eyes to move around the room. Good. And this breath can be done as we just did it with eyes closed. It also, once you've practiced it once or 5 or 10 times, you can do it easily with eyes open, just allowing yourself to become aware of those same elements of the breath and the tailbone. And you can do it, that's where it becomes very seamless as a part of conversations or a nice reset into whatever it is that you are preparing to do next or in the middle of. So I'd love to hear, Denise, how did you experience that?
Very unique. I love the idea of, yeah, just imagining that your skin is, you're porous and you're just bringing in, it felt like I was bringing in the energy and it just felt very
Yes.
calming.
Yes,
Very calming.
exactly.
As
Yeah.
normally when you do breath work, you're focused on your chest, your lungs.
Right.
This way it was just like, yeah, it's very unique
Isn't
feeling.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really something that came to me while I was doing my work, as I was working to expand my intuitive capacities, as I was sitting with clients and really just in that deep devotion of service. So that's where this came from, and just noticing, how do I hold my being? How do I work with my body and work with the stillness of my mind to allow for the most beautiful outcomes in working with clients? And so, and then I realized, oh, I could be doing this for myself.
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of people will say this seems silly, but if we try it and it works and we haven't hurt anything, then why not go with it? And
Absolutely.
yeah, it really does shift things, especially with just a little bit of practice.
Now, can you just explain what your company does for the world
Oh,
out there?
there's a lot to it. Holon is, it's born of the perspective that science and spirituality do not live in walled off places. So I was studying neurosciences when I had that experience happen, that I then knew that there was a God. And then I thought, okay, how do we keep our feet grounded? And how do we also then explore and know that there's so much more? And so Holon really bridges those gaps and it helps people to have embodied experiences of knowing about the interconnectedness of all things, of knowing that they are a divine being, not just in their head and their cognition, but in their body. And it starts to change their life. So as far as offerings, I've been working in this way for 23 years. I still love working with individuals one on one. And so I can work in teaching people and training them on their intuitive capacities, so long as they are also my favorite to work with are people that are also running big organizations or are working inside of philanthropic spaces after exiting organizations. So I love working in that space. We also have another coach on the team who is helping people regulate their nervous system with a sound listening program that can be administered remotely and brought through support. So it really resets the autonomic nervous system and it works with the polyvagal theory and changes how the body structurally works. And it also changes the perception of reality around them. So that's a listening program that we offer. That's not at this moment on the website, but it will be soon.
Okay, wonderful.
And then we've got all the way up into there's various types of advising and consulting that I can do in the business space. I'm able to help with health because I'm also a doctor of Chinese medicine and I absolutely love supporting people in their health journey, but it's typically people that are working deeply into different whole on programs. I'm not just helping someone that's only wanting health. But I would say maybe a way to explain the pinnacle of what it is that we offer is we have a 5-day program that runs from a Thursday to a Monday. And it's myself and a neuroscientist colleague of mine. And we literally measure the brain and its EEG. And we take a baseline and then we work to create massive, measurable, verifiable EEG verified change in the brain. And we also are bringing people through quite a spiritual adventure all at the same time, a spiritual journey of really understanding themselves. And it's highly unique and very individualized. We work with about 3 people per retreat or intensive, and we only offer it maybe 6 to 10 times a year. So it's a very high touch environment. And so we really enjoy being able to create. And what we're focused on with that are the pioneers and the visionaries, the game changers that are changing the constructs of reality that we live in. People that are really helping to design in a very deep and powerful way how the world will be working as it's crumbling in many of the ways that we've known it to be. How are we recreating it? So that's really the question and the quest that these folks are on. And so we're supporting those folks with really, really high touch offerings. And then there'll be more to come. We're inventing things all the time that are helping at all different levels of engagement and cost and price point. But we're very interested in working with people who are wanting and are engaged in making the world a deeply better place because that's our highest leverage point. We want to help
Absolutely.
as many as we can through the help that we do.
And I love that you are bringing sort of the spiritual, natural world with the science backed together like that. Not too many people do that.
That's right. It takes being a blend of a really nerdy academic because Chinese medicine school in the state of California is a butt kicker. It is extraordinary. We have to learn everything from orthopedic neurologic evaluation to pharmacology to so much that the MDs are learning, but then we have to learn the way to actually change people in real time, right? Because we don't work with medication. So we're changing the foundational like the substrate of how their body is functioning in real time. So we're working on that level to really be able to support and assist people. And my colleague is quite holistic, even though he is a neuroscientist. We're both but mold breakers because he is breaking out of the mold by being that neuroscientist guy who in many ways he's a man who He's a polymath and he understands so many things. He's a massive like engineering mind basically, and he understands the electricity of the brain with and the functioning of the brain and the anatomy of the brain at levels that are extraordinary. Very few people in the world could hang in conversations with him about what's really going on. And he believes in the unseen world. And he's massively intuitive in his own right as well. So it really is a unique reality, a unique offering. And we love to show that, I mean, essentially, it's important that we understand that science alone does not explain everything. And we have the possibility of giving away our power, of believing that if science can't prove it, it's not real. But we have to explore out into really what is real and what is possible. And that's how we've been known through all of the different offerings that we have to be able to have people have miracles, have people get answers and have the possibilities that they've always dreamt of be their reality is not because we've stayed and colored inside the lines of what other people think, but because we're so cautious at the same time to make sure that we first do no harm. But at the same time, if we're not going to hurt anything, then how do we iterate? How do we take everything that's known from the neuroscientific journal articles from Harvard and Stanford and places like that and apply it in novel ways, the same treatments, but in novel ways to be able to get different results? So my colleague's been at that for almost 30 years, and we've been engaged in it for most of the last 14 or 15 together. And it's been an incredible adventure, and we really can see reality mapped out into the brain. Somebody's capacities for intuition definitely show in their brain,
Absolutely.
and it's
Well, thank you
amazing.
for doing the work that you're doing. That's
Oh, thank
amazing.
you. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
We're going to be wrapping this up. So, what are your final words of wisdom to the audience today?
Remember that you have a story and that it's, of course, important to honor that story and heal it up if there's things to heal, but that you are not your story. You are not just this physical body, this little robot that we've been taught to be. We're so much more than that. And as soon as we step into the remembrance of that, it could just be for moments at a time. It could be that whole on breath helps. It could be that moment that you spend. I was out walking my dog on a trail this morning and I could just feel the love and the expansion. It could be these tiny little moments, but staying in that remembrance and staying in the empowerment of knowing that if we're a part of all things, then that means we have infinite resources to be able to not only solve the particular problems in our life in a given moment, but to be able to broaden our perspective and work together to collaborate in new ways. And so just the encouragement to remember that and to be empowered. And from there, the joy dials up and the stress dials down.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Amy. And wherever you're listening or watching this, I will have all her links there. So, yeah, take advantage of finding out more. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and to ask Dr. Amy your questions. So,
Yes. Thank you.
now just leaving you a gentle reminder to slow down and enjoy life. And I'll see you in the next episode.